Chapter 21 Denunciation of Women. Rama added, "What beauty is there in the body of a woman composed of nerves, bones, and joints? She is a mere statue of flesh and a frame of moving machinery with her ribs and limbs. Separated from its flesh, skin, blood, and water. Can you find anything beautiful in the female form that is worth beholding? Then why dote upon it? This fairy frame consisting of hair and blood cannot engage the attention of a high-minded man to its blemishes. The bodies of females, so covered with clothing and repeatedly smeared with paints and perfumes, are, in the end, devoured by carnivorous beasts and worms. The breasts of women decorated with strings of pearl appear as charming as the pinnacles of Mount Sumeru, washed by the waters of the Ganges falling upon them. Look at these very same breasts in the end having become a lump of food to be devoured by dogs in cemeteries and on the naked ground. There is no difference between a woman and a young elephant that lives in the jungle. Both are made of blood, flesh, and bones. Then why hunt after her? A woman is charming only for a short time. I look upon her merely as a cause of delusion. There is no difference between wine and a woman. Both tend equally to produce high-flown mirth and jollity, creating revelry and lust. Overindulgent men are like chained elephants among mankind. They will never come to sense, however, goaded by the hooks of reason. Women are the flames of vice. Their black-eyed eye and hair are the smoke and soot. Though pleasing to the sight, they are as intangible as fire. They burn a man like fire consumes straw. Though they appear soft and juicy to sight, they burn from afar and are as dry as bones. They serve as fuel for the fires of hell, and they are dangerous with their charm. The woman resembles a moonlit night, veiled over by her loosened locks and looking through her starry eyes. She shows her moon-like face amidst her flowery smiles. Her soft dalliance destroys all manly energy, and her caresses overpower the good sense of men, like the shade of night does the sleeping world. A woman is as lovely as a vine in its flowering time. Her palms are the leaves, and her eyes are the black bees. Her breasts are like the uplifted tops of the plant. A lovely maiden is like a poisonous vine, fair as the filament of a flower, but by causing inebriation and unconsciousness, destructive of life. Like the snake catcher entices the snake by his breath and brings it out of its hole, so does a woman allure a man by her meddlesome civilities and gets him under her control. Sexual desire, like a huntsman, has spread his nets in the form of women for the purpose of ensnaring deluded men like silly birds. The mind of man, though as fierce as that of a furious elephant, is tied fast by the chain of love to the fulcrum of women, just as an elephant is fastened to the post where he remains dull and dumb forever. Human life is like a pool in which the mind moves about in mud and mire. Here it is caught by the bait of woman and dragged along by the thread of its impure desires. The beautiful-eyed maiden is a bondage to man, as the stable is to the horse, the fastening post to the elephant, and as spells are to the snakes. This wonderful world, with all its delights and enjoyments, began with woman and depends on woman for its continuance. A woman is a casket full of all gems of vice. She is the cause of our chain to everlasting misery, and she is of no use to me. What shall I do with her breast, her eyes, her loins, her eyebrows, the substance of which is only flesh, and which therefore is altogether unsubstantial? Here and there, O Brahmin, her flesh and blood and bones undergo a change for the worse in course of a few days. Sage, you can see those dearly beloved mistresses, so much fondled by foolish men, lying at last in the cemetery, their body parts all mangled and falling off. O Brahmin, those dear love objects, the faces of maidens so fondly decorated by their lovers with paints and pastes, are at last to be burned on the piles. Their braided hairs hang like fly whisks on the cemetery trees, and after a few days their whitened bones are strewn about like shining stars. Behold, their blood sucked in by the dust of the earth. Voracious beasts and worms feeding upon their flesh, jackals tearing their skin, and their vital air dispersed in the vacuum. This is the state to which the members of the female body must shortly come to pass. You say all existence is delusion. Therefore, tell me, why do you allow yourselves to fall into error? A woman is nothing but a form composed of the 5 elements, so why should intelligent men be fondly attached to her? Men's longing for women is like the sutta vine, which stretches its sprigs to a great length, but bears plenty of bitter and sour fruit. A man blinded by greed for his mate is like a deer that has strayed from its herd, not knowing which way to go, lost in the maze of illusion. A young man under the control of a young woman is as lamentable as an elephant in pursuit of its mate that has fallen into a pit of Vindhya mountain. He who has a wife has an appetite for enjoyment on earth, but one without her has no object of desire. Abandonment of the wife amounts to abandonment of the world, and forsaking the world is the path to true happiness. I am not content, O Brahmin, with these unmanageable enjoyments which are as flickering as the wings of bees, and are soon at an end as they are born. From my fear of repeated births, decay, and death, I long only for the state of supreme bliss. Chapter 22 Denunciation of Old Age. Rama continued to speak. He said, Boyhood has scarcely lost its boyishness when it is overtaken by youth, which is soon followed by a ruthless old age that devours the other two. Old age withers the body like frost freezing a lake of lilies. It drives away the beauty of the body like a storm does autumn clouds. It pulls down the body like a current carries away a tree from the bank. An old man, with his limbs slackened and worn out by age, his body weakened by infirmity, is treated by women as a useless beast. Old age drives away a man's good sense just like a stepmother drives away a good wife. A man in tottering old age is ridiculed as an imbecile by his own sons and servants, and even by his wife, friends, and relations. When their appearance grows uncouth, and their bodies become helpless and devoid of all manly qualities and powers, then insatiable greed alights on the heads of the aged like a greedy vulture. Appetite, the constant companion of my youth, is thriving along with my age, accompanied with her evils of indigence and heart-burning cares and restlessness. Ah, me, what must I do to remove my present and future pains? This fear increases with old age and finds no remedy. What am I that I am brought to this extremity of senselessness? What can I do in this state? I must remain dumb and silent. Given these reflections, there is an increased sense of helplessness in old age. How and when and what shall I eat? And what is sweet to taste? These are the thoughts that trouble the mind when old age comes. There is an insatiable desire for enjoyments, but the powers to enjoy them are lacking. It is lack of strength which afflicts the heart in old age. Hoary old age sits and shrieks like a heron on the top of the tree of this body, which is infested within by the serpents of sickness. As the grave owl, the bird of night, appears unexpectedly to our sight as the evening shades cover the landscape, so the solemn appearance of death overtakes us in the eve of our life. As darkness prevails over the world in the evening, so death overtakes the body at the eve of the life. Death overtakes a man in his hoary old age, just like a monkey alights on a tree covered with pearly flowers. Even a deserted city, a leafless tree, and parched up land may present a fair aspect, but never does the body look well that is pulled down by hoary age. Old age, with its whooping cough, lays hold of a man, just as a vulture seizes its prey with loud shrieks in order to devour it. As a girl eagerly lays hold of a lotus flower whenever she sees one, then plucks it from its stalk and tears it to pieces, so does old age overtake a person's body and breaks it down at last. As the chill blast of winter shakes a tree and covers its leaves with dust, so does old age seize the body with a tremor and fill all its limbs with the rust of diseases. The body, overtaken by old age, becomes as pale and battered as a lotus flower beaten by frost becomes withered and shattered. As moonbeams contribute to the growth of Kumuda flowers on the top of mountains, so does old age produce grey hairs, resembling cassia flowers, on the heads of men with inward phlegm and gout. Death, the lord of all beings, views the grey head of a man as a ripe pumpkin, seasoned with the salt of old age, and devours it with zest. As the Ganges upsets a neighboring tree by its rapid course, so old age destroys the body as the current of our life runs fast to decay. Old age preys on the flesh of the human body and takes as much delight in devouring its youthful bloom as a cat does feeding on a mouse. Discrepitude raises its ominous hoarse sound of hiccup in the body, like a jackal sending forth her hideous cry in the forest. Old age is an inner flame that consumes the living body like a wet log of wood, which thereupon emits its hissing sounds of hiccup and hard breathing, and sends up the gloomy fumes of sorrows and sighs. The body, like a flowering wine, bends down under the pressure of age, turns to grey like the fading leaves of a plant, and becomes as lean and thin as a plant after its flowering time is over. Like an infuriated elephant that can uproot a white plantain tree in a moment, so does old age destroy the body that becomes as white as camphor all over. Senility, O sage, is as the standard bearer of the king of death, flapping his fly whisks of grey hairs before him, and bringing an army of diseases and troubles in his train. The monster of old age will even overcome those who were never defeated in wars by their enemies, and those who hide themselves in the inaccessible caverns of mountains. As infants cannot play in a room that has become cold with snow, so the senses can have no play in a body stricken with age. Old age, like a juggling girl, struts on 3 legs at the sound of coughing and whiffing, beating like a kettle drum on both sides. The tuft of grey hairs on the head of an aged body represents a fly whisk fastened to the top of a handle of white sandalwood that serves to become the despot of death. As hoary age makes his advance like moonlight over the body, he calls forth hidden death to come out of it as moonlight makes water lilies unfold their buds. Again, as the whitewash of old age whitens the outer body, so debility, diseases, and dangers become its inmates in the inner department. The extinction of being is preceded by old age. Therefore, I, as a man of little understanding, can have no reliance in old age, though extolled by some. What, then, is the good of this miserable life which lives subject to old age? Senility is irresistible in this world, and it defies all efforts, to avoid or overcome it.